Good morning, everybody. On the 11th of October, it is about 9 a.m. and I have just made myself a nice cup of coffee and decided that it's going to be a great idea to film a little bit of a vlog because although I have a stacked day, I have a little bit more time to film, and because I haven't filmed a vlog in a very long time, maybe 2 months. Actually, that's not true because I actually filmed a vlog in August, a very long vlog, I would say, but I did not post it because I did not have the time to edit it. I have a lot of things to do, as I mentioned. Today, I have to finish my TBR, finish editing my TBR for October. Yes, I know it's 11th. I filmed it on the 9th because I traveled before that and I didn't have the time to, or the opportunity rather, to film it, being that my books and my game are here. And so I'm finishing the editing today and posting it tonight. And then I have to do some work on my computer for some personal projects. On top of that, I am reading a bunch of books and I thought it'd be a nice thing to film a reading vlog. We're not starting this vlog with cleaning like I do all my other vlogs because I have actually already cleaned my apartment because I couldn't stand living in a mess until I figure out I have the opportunity to film a vlog. Speaking of reading, I just finished reading actually Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which is the continuation of Ninth House and the second book in the Alex Stern trilogy, apparently, because I thought it was a duology, but turns out it's a trilogy. I quite enjoyed this book. I think Leigh Bardugo has a writing style that really fits me well and makes it very easy to read her books. Also, she writes very interesting stories, but this one is more gritty and adult, being that it's her first adult series than what I have read from her before. Still, I wouldn't say that I was nicely surprised because I wasn't surprised, but she just continues to confirm that she's a great author and I am a big fan. And so with that out of the way, I am still left with 4 books that I'm currently reading. The first of which is actually A Lion's Tale by Chris Jericho. I have been reading this book for this is going to be the 3rd month, honestly, because it was on my August TBR and I was not able to finish it then. I had started it a little bit and last month I reached kind of like the middle of it. I'm having a good time with this one, but it's taking me a long time because it is an autobiography and I am kind of in the mood for epic fantasies, and I did struggle with reading slump in the month of September, so I didn't read much then, or what I read I didn't enjoy very much. You can watch my summary if you want to see how disappointed I was by the majority of the books that I read. Then the next book that I'm reading is an epic fantasy actually, and that is Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind. This is a classic epic fantasy and the first book in the Sword of Truth series. I have heard mixed opinions about this series. I've heard Daniel Green say some unpleasant things about this book. He's a very popular booktuber. He did not enjoy it, obviously, which fair. If you don't enjoy something, you don't enjoy something. However, I am currently at page 293, which is a little bit before, it's a lot before the middle of the book, around 30% into the book. And to be honest, I'm having a very good time with this book. I think it's very well written so far, at least. It's very descriptive. It's very detailed as well, but it gives you this sense of anticipation and foreboding, and we already saw a lot of magical crazy things happen and there's a lot of mystery in it. As far as classic fantasy goes, I think this is one of the best ones so far and I'm having a very good time. Also love this cover. I think it's gorgeous, even though it's, one of them cheesy old-timey classic fantasy covers. I had low expectations, kind of, but I'm actually enjoying this book very much. All of those books, by the way, are part of my October TBR. You can watch the video over here if you want. And then the next one is Short Story Masterpieces with Twist Endings, which surprisingly is probably the book that I'm looking forward to the most this month because it has some very popular authors. You can pause and read their names over here. I don't know, I'm just in the mood for it and it sounds like a good time. I already read the first story and while I wasn't mind blown by it, I think the twist ending was very ironic and I quite liked it. I think it was very well done. It was by the author Hector U. Munro, or Saki. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. And the last book that I'm currently reading is a reread for me. It's on my Kindle, so I'm going to show you the cover over here. It's Radiance by Grace Grace Draven. This is a fantasy romance, which is totally not what I usually like. But I had a discussion with two of my friends the other day. We talked about the kind of books that we're currently in the mood of reading. And one of my friends is very much into romance right now. And so being that I'm not very much into romance, I recommended her this book because I had read it, I don't know, like 5 to 10 years ago. I very, very much enjoy it. It's very much romance, keep that in mind, but it also has some very, very nice fantasy, and I really like the world that the author has created. So I recommended the book to my friend, and talking about that book got me into the mood of reading it again, and I'm quite further into it. I highly recommend it if you're looking for fantasy romance or romance in general and you're not a big fan of fantasy. I think it might get you into it, and I can see that it has very high ratings. So these are all the books that I'm currently in the middle of reading. This is the plan for the day. I have to do those things. I was thinking of going to the gym, but my neck is hurting. It's been hurting since the other day, and it's getting a little bit worse, and it's a nerve issue, so I need to be very careful with it not to aggravate it and block my entire back basically. First, I'm going to clean my face. I do this every morning. I'm going to put some facial cream. I'm going to sit on my desk, and I'm going to start the work for the day, and then we're going to do some reading. So it's around 10 p.m. and I'm done with everything for the day. I'm about to sit down and relax with a book, but I need to take some pills that I can't take on an empty stomach. So I'm gonna do some yogurt with jam. And I know that that might sound like a crazy combination to some of you, but to me, that's a thing that I like to eat together. So I'm gonna do some yogurt and homemade jam. My mom makes this amazing plum jam that I absolutely adore. I'm gonna mix them together right now. This is supposed to be a one-day vlog, but because I'm not very good at vlogging in general, I'm gonna turn this into either a 2 or 3 day reading vlog. We'll see. Time to go for a read with my jam yogurt, which probably looks like vomit to you. Sorry for saying vomit. Okay, so it's Thursday morning, the 12th of October, and I just woke up. It is around, I don't have a clock, I think it's around 8:30 in the morning. I woke up very early this morning because I went to bed really early last night because I was very sleepy, which is great, but I wasn't able to finish Radiance by Grace Draven. I don't know why I'm showing you my Kindle. I reached 80% and I decided to go to bed because I was really sleepy at this point, and the last 20% is the action-packed part because the part before that is mostly the romance, which is still very good. To give you a little bit of tropes, it's forced marriage and it's strangers to friends to lovers, which I think might be my favorite romantic trope, not the forced marriage, but the other part. It was very well done, very tastefully, not very subtly, I would say, because every conflict that would arise between the two main characters would be solved almost instantaneously. But I think that's the part that I like because there is no miscommunication trope utilized, which is one of the things that I really hate, when you can solve something with just 2 words or with a little bit of common sense. And I think that's why I like it so much. And I like our main character, our female main character, very much. I like the male character too, but her especially, because I usually get a little frustrated with the female main characters. The last 20% are left from that book, and I'm gonna read them today because again, they're the most action-packed. On the other hand, the only other thing I read yesterday was the short story Masterpieces with a twist ending. I read the first 3 stories so far. I think they are really short ones, and to be honest, so far kind of fire. The ones that I read yesterday really made an impression on me. As I mentioned before, the first one that I read was cool, but I wouldn't call it a masterpiece necessarily. Sorry, cats are playing. But the ones that I read yesterday were The Open Window by Hector Hugo Munro and The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. The Open Window was absolutely phenomenal, and I recommend you go check it out. It takes all of 5 minutes to read, and it got me through all kinds of emotions. Like, I started a little bit indifferent, and then I was sad, and then I was heartbroken, and that I was terrified, and then in the end I even laughed a little bit because it was I don't want to spoil anything for you. Go and read it. You're not gonna regret it, I'm telling you. And then the other one, The Story of an Hour, was so masterfully ironic. It was so, how do I describe this? It was so indicative of the time period that it was written and the misconceptions that society gets for a person based on what they consider proper, if I can put it that way. Also, highly recommend. I'm reading like a story or 2 every single day just so that I can enjoy them fully and I can have the time to think about them after I finish them, because they are full completed works basically. This is a great find. I actually have the second volume at home as well. I'm really happy I bought these. They were like a impulse buy. I saw them in a bookstore and I was like, why not? Definitely a good buy so far. I mean, I've only read 3 stories, which is nothing, but whatever. For today, I have a lot of things to do. I have to go work on my computer. I'm gonna have to go to the gym. It is a chest day today and my neck is feeling a little bit better because yesterday was very painful, so I'll probably do that. We also need to go grocery shopping since now I have a car. We go once a week to a big supermarket far away that has more acceptable prices because, oh my god, the prices these days, I have no words. It's crazy. And I also want to start editing this vlog so I don't have to, do it all on Friday or Saturday whenever I decide to post it. If I decide to post it, because this wouldn't be the first vlog I film and never post. I'm gonna go change my clothes and get to work. Okay, so I wanted to sit down and talk about something that I have not mentioned so far on my channel yet. I alluded in my September wrap-up, I believe, that my life is changing in a way that it hasn't changed in the past 10 years, basically. But I didn't elaborate on what it was. And I think it would be okay to mention it here because not a lot of people watch these videos, which makes me a little bit more comfortable. So basically, I quit my job. 29th of September was my last working day. And while that's not usually that significant for people or for me, I have quit jobs before not very often. I tend to remain for many years at the places where I choose to work. But this time, the difference is that I am not starting to look for another job right away. And that is because I would like to change my profession. I've been working in quality assurance, software quality assurance for the past 10 years. I loved that job. However, with time, even though my job remained in the software quality assurance, it became more management oriented. I became a director of a department. I created another department in a different company. It was still great because I still got to work with a lot of great, young, talented, smart people, but I no longer got to be a part of the creation and testing of things. I was now a manager. I was dealing with administration. And while that is great for some people, unfortunately, I'm not one of those people. And during the past 3 years, maybe, I started realizing that this is not the job for me yet. I remain doing it because it's a good job. And then this year in April, I lost my father and I started thinking about life, in the course of mourning and trying to get over this terrible loss. I started thinking about this time that doesn't come back. It just goes away. And we think, okay, maybe one day, but we continue with the path that we have started because we're too afraid to step on another one. And while it is totally understandable, I'm not sitting here trying to convince you to abandon your job for a dream you're not sure is going to happen. No, that's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm a very pragmatic person and I am very much for making sure that you can pay your bills doing something respectable before you go try to change the world. However, in this case, I have some savings and I have a clear idea of what I want to do with my life, and I decided to put my money where my mouth is and where my mind is, and to take a break from working for several months so that I can study. What am I studying? I'm studying to become a full stack developer, which entails front-end, back-end, databases, all of that together. It is something that I've been wanting to do. I'm closely familiar with it because I have been working with developers for, the past 10 years. It is a job that is not easy, and the studying around it is not easy either, but it is so much fun for me. I've been doing it for a while now. I have been dabbling here and there for the past 2 years in this field, and I have been enjoying myself immensely. It is one of the things that has kept me sane besides reading. So I decided to dedicate myself to studying that, which is why I have quit my job. Does that change anything for this channel? Absolutely not. Or maybe I will have more time for books. I don't know what that means. I just felt like I should share this because it is a big thing and I might mention accidentally here and there something about it. So I thought I should just dump it here, and whoever watches. That's it. Oh, isn't that a flattering angle to film myself? I am about to do some apple pie, so I am peeling apples for it. It's gonna be very simple and easy, but we do have a lot of these apples that I brought back from my hometown and we need to utilize them before they go bad. I'm actually filming from my old phone, so the quality of the picture is probably not great, but the other one is currently charging, so I can't use it. We did end up going to the supermarket and it was such a mess on the way back. The streets are full of people and cars especially, but we did buy some nice groceries. And after I set up this pie for baking, I'm actually going to start reading because I haven't had the opportunity to do so all day. I did quite a lot of work actually, so it was a very, very productive day, but now I am very much looking forward to a calm, chill, relaxing evening with a book. And I think I'm gonna end the vlog today because I don't think I'll have the opportunity to film or edit tomorrow, so I'm gonna try to do some editing tonight and hopefully be able to post it tomorrow evening so you can watch my boring life.